The guard barked, "Move it, old man! You think this is a Sunday walk?" The morning sun rose weakly over the gray walls of Iron Gate Prison, casting long shadows across the yard. A cold wind blew through the metal fences, carrying the distant echoes of shouting guards and clanging bars. Every prison has its own law. The strong lead, the weak follow, and the ones who don't belong. They don't last long. A white van rolled through the main gate, its tires crunching against the gravel. The back door swung open, and a line of new inmates stepped out, chains rattling around their ankles. Among them was a man who didn't seem to fit. An old man, maybe in his mid-60s, thin but composed. His head was slightly bowed, his expression calm. The guard barked, "Move it, old man! You think this is a Sunday walk?" The old man didn't argue. He simply nodded and shuffled forward quietly. There was something about the way he moved, slow, steady, but balanced, that caught the eye of a few prisoners watching from the yard. Inside the main block, whispers started spreading. "Who's that?" one inmate muttered. "Looks like somebody's grandpa got lost," another laughed. At the far end of the hall, a tall man leaned against the bars, arms folded, eyes sharp. His name was Darius, the gang leader of Cell Block D. Tattoos covered his neck and arms, and everyone in that place either feared him or worked for him. He smirked as the old man passed. "Well, well, look at this. They sending us senior citizens now?" The old man glanced at him briefly, then looked away. Darius's grin widened. "Hey, I'm talking to you, Pops. You deaf already?" The guard shoved the old man forward before he could respond. "Save it, Darius. You'll get your entertainment later." Later that day, in the crowded cafeteria, trays clattered, men shouted, and the smell of cheap food filled the air. Darius sat with his crew at the biggest table in the center, the self-proclaimed king of the block. He noticed the old man walking in, holding his food tray with both hands. Darius grinned. "Ain't no way this guy made it past breakfast." "Hey, old man, you lost or something?" The old man looked up calmly. "No, I'm fine." Darius stood towering over him. "You sure? 'Cause looks like you wandered into the wrong neighborhood." His crew laughed loudly, drawing everyone's attention. The old man tried to walk past, but Darius blocked him. "You can sit here if you earn it," he said, smirking. A younger inmate sitting nearby, a quiet kid named Luis, whispered urgently, "Just ignore him, man. Sit somewhere else." Before the old man could move, Darius slapped his tray, spilling food all over the floor. The noise silenced the whole cafeteria. Everyone watched. Even the guards looked up. Darius grinned. "Oops, my bad, Grandpa. Guess your hands ain't steady no more." The old man knelt down slowly, picked up his tray, and cleaned it with a napkin. His face remained calm, his voice low but steady. "I don't need trouble." Darius leaned closer, his tone shifting. "Trouble? Oh, you already got trouble, old man. You just don't know it yet." The old man looked him in the eye. "Maybe it's you who doesn't know." For a moment, silence filled the room. The laughter stopped. Darius's grin faltered. The old man stood, bowed his head slightly, and walked away. The sound of his footsteps echoed down the corridor as every inmate stared in disbelief. That night, in the dim light of their cell, Luis couldn't stop thinking about what he saw. The old man sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, breathing slowly. His movements were so precise, it looked almost like a ritual. Luis whispered, "You meditate or something?" The old man opened one eye, smiled faintly. "Something like that." Luis hesitated. "What did you do before this? You don't look like a criminal." The old man paused for a long moment. "I taught discipline," he finally said, "and how to fight without anger." Luis frowned. "Like a teacher?" The old man nodded. "I was a Taekwondo master. Many years ago." Luis blinked, trying to process that. "Wait, seriously? Like martial arts and stuff?" The old man smiled softly. "Something like that." Outside, the morning sun had vanished behind gray clouds again. The sound of thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, echoing through the walls. No one in Cell Block D knew the storm that was coming. Not the one outside, but the one quietly breathing inside that calm, gray-haired man. The next morning came quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that hangs in the air before a storm. The yard buzzed with tension. Every inmate had heard the rumors. The old man used to be a Taekwondo master, but in Iron Gate, words meant nothing unless you could back them up. Darius sat on the bleachers, chewing gum, his eyes locked on the old man doing slow stretches near the fence. He moved with a strange calm, every motion sharp yet graceful, like muscle memory from another life. One of Darius's crew, a bulky guy named Tank, chuckled. "Yo, boss, look at this fool. Dude thinks he's in a yoga class." Darius smirked. "Nah, Tank. He's just warming up for his funeral." They stood, moving across the yard with purpose. Other inmates stepped back, clearing the space. Everyone knew something was about to go down. Darius called out, "Hey, sensei! You training for bingo or what?" The old man didn't respond. He kept his eyes closed, breathing slow. That made Darius angrier. "Hey, I'm talking to you!" He grabbed the old man's shoulder, and in one blink the old man's hand moved. A single twist, a snap of the wrist, and Darius's arm was suddenly locked behind his back. Gasps erupted around them. Guards looked up from their post. Darius groaned in pain. "What the—" The old man released him gently and stepped back, calm as ever. "Don't grab me again." The yard went silent. For the first time, Darius didn't have a comeback. His pride, though, couldn't handle that kind of humiliation. Later that day, during lunch, Darius slammed his tray down in front of the old man's seat. The cafeteria froze again. "You think you embarrassed me out there?" he hissed. "You made me look weak in front of everyone." The old man looked up. "I didn't mean to humiliate you." Darius's jaw tightened. "You think this is a dojo? You're in my house, old man," the old man sighed softly. "That's the problem with men like you. You think power means control? It doesn't." That set Darius off. He threw a punch straight at the old man's face. Fast, hard, mean, but it never landed. The old man sidestepped, guiding Darius's momentum past him. A sharp motion, palm to chest, heel to shin, and Darius hit the ground hard. The entire cafeteria erupted in chaos. 2 more gang members lunged forward. The old man moved like flowing water, deflecting, redirecting, never striking first but always ending it. A back kick sent one sprawling into a table. A wrist grab dropped another to the floor. It was over in seconds. The guards rushed in, yelling, "Break it up! Everybody down!" The old man dropped to his knees, hands raised peacefully. Darius lay on the ground, coughing, humiliated, staring up at the man he'd mocked. Later, back in the cell, Luis couldn't stop shaking. "Dude, what was that? You didn't even hit them. You just moved." The old man smiled faintly. "Force is never the goal. Control is." Luis leaned forward. "Why'd you even end up here? You don't belong in this place." The old man's face darkened for a moment. "I made mistakes. I tried to stop a fight once, and it cost someone their life. They called it manslaughter. I called it failure." Luis looked down. "But you saved yourself today." The old man nodded slowly. "No, I saved him. If I hadn't controlled myself, Darius would be dead right now." The next morning, something unexpected happened. As the inmates lined up for roll call, Darius walked over. The yard went quiet again. Every eye turned. The tension was heavy. Darius stopped in front of the old man. For a long second, no one spoke. Then, Darius extended his hand. The old man looked at it, then at him. Slowly, he shook it. Darius muttered, "You got some balls, old man. I ain't ever met someone who didn't flinch." The old man gave a small smile. "Maybe you were just waiting for someone to remind you what strength really looks like." From that day, everything changed. No one messed with the old man again. In fact, Darius's crew started training with him in the mornings, not to fight others, but to learn balance, control, and respect. Even the guards began watching quietly from the towers, curious. The violent block that once caused chaos was now silent every dawn, filled only with the rhythm of breathing and the sound of bare feet hitting concrete. Luis narrated in his mind every time he saw it. The man who once fought to survive now taught others to live. Weeks passed. When the parole board came, the old man didn't beg. He simply bowed his head and said, "I've already been set free in here." And when the day of his release finally came, Darius was there. Standing by the gate, he said nothing, just gave the old man a respectful nod. The old man smiled. "Remember, true power isn't in your fists. It's in your peace." The gate opened. Sunlight flooded through. The old man stepped out into the bright morning, free not just from prison, but from his past. As the camera lingers on the old man walking away from Iron Gate Prison, his silhouette fades into the rising sun. The world outside is still rough, still unfair. But now, peace lives inside him. In a place built on violence, he taught that real strength isn't about domination. It's about restraint, the power to end a fight without throwing a punch. And sometimes, the people we judge too quickly carry stories we could never imagine. Because behind every scar, behind every silence, there's a past, and maybe a purpose. Never underestimate the quiet ones. What did you learn from this story? Comment your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like this deserve to be heard. Watch our previous video, cops. Threw a handcuffed black man from the helicopter. then learned a lesson they never imagined, for another powerful story that will change the way you see the world.